My name is Mark McEwen. I'm a 9th and 10th grade E&L instructor, and this video is for any teacher who wants to go through that full writing process, so outlining, first draft, second draft, but in a digital format, which is especially helpful during remote learning. So for this writing process, we're going to look at the outline stage and then the final paragraph stage. For the outlines, we're going to start with topic sentence, go into those supporting details, and then concluding sentence. And then for the paragraph stage, starting with conventions and then cohesion. So this paragraph outline is for a basic paragraph. We have topic sentence, supporting details. You can see these dotted lines. That's for notes. And then concluding sentence. Here's a more scaffolded version of that paragraph outline. So we're going to use the question words to create a one-sentence summary of the text. And then that will lead into a topic sentence, supporting details, and concluding sentence. So a note about writing those notes. So here are the symbols that I use for my class, but this may be a little bit overwhelming to start. So I suggest you start with some basic symbols so students can get used to them and the instructor can get used to them. So we're going to start with that one sentence summary. So we have our question words and we're going to combine those to create our one sentence summary. So I assigned an article on Newsela and the students fill out the details about that article. Now the teacher may want to cross out some of the words, the question words that are not relevant to support. So who, parents, teachers, and students, is or does what, debated cell phone rules, when was not relevant, so it was crossed out, where, a Maryland school, why, they didn't agree, and that how was also crossed out because it wasn't relevant. So these details are combined to create a one-sentence summary of the article. The parents, teachers, and students at a school in Maryland debated their cell phone rules because they didn't agree. So now we have a complex sentence that has all the most important details from the article. Then we want to take that one sentence summary and turn it into a topic sentence. So we're going to keep all that detail, but we're going to add a little bit. The article, Do Cell Phones Belong in Schools, is about how, and then that first sentence. That way it's clear to the reader what the summary is about. Okay, then moving on to supporting details. So these are the details that should support that topic sentence, that one sentence summary. So first detail, school allowed phones because parents wanted kids to be safe. Second detail, people didn't agree about phones, so they created a survey and it showed more kids wanted phones at lunch. And third detail, principal decided phones were okay at Friday lunch, but no violent games, photos, music without earbuds. And you can see that that fourth detail is actually crossed out because it's not necessary. So then that final step for the outline is creating the concluding sentence. So in order for students to be able to do this, they actually need the skill of paraphrasing. So that can be a pretty complex task for some students, especially when they don't have a ton of vocabulary. So there's a two-step process that I like to go through for that. The first step is to change at least three keywords. So first, we're going to have the students identify some of those keywords. So on paper, you may have the students circle those words or underline them, but on the computer, you can use that highlighting tool. So here, parents, teachers, and students, one of the keywords or key phrases, and then didn't agree. So in the concluding sentence, we're going to take those words and phrases and we're going to change them to keep the same meaning but have different words. So parents, teachers, and students is changed to family and staff. Didn't agree is changed to disagreed. The second step here is going to be to change the order of some of the words. That way it looks like a new sentence, a different sentence. So here we're going to change the order of cell phone rules, disagreed. So the final sentence we have, the families and staff at the Maryland school disagreed about the cell phone rules, but in the end, they compromised. So we have the same basic idea from that topic sentence, but it's written in a new way. Okay, so now that our outline is finished, we want to move on to the paragraph. So the goal here is going to be that correct formatting and those correct conventions for English. So we want to indent, we want to make sure there's that spacing, and that each of these sentences has a capital letter and it ends in a period or other type of punctuation. So next we're going to think about cohesion and that writing effectiveness. So I like to do this through transitions. So it's important that students understand that transitions are used to show the relationships between these sentences, but also that they have different functions. So here we have that step where we're adding those transition words, but we're being clear about how these transitions have different functions. So the relationship between these two sentences is a contrast. Here we have a cause and effect relationship, and here we're summarizing what the text was about. And then here's what our final paragraph looks like. So let's talk a little bit about how we can do this in Google Docs and what this might look like in Classroom. So here we have the first stage, that's outline. So students can type their topic. So cell phone article summary. And then here they're able to type those details to create that one sentence summary. So who or what, students, parents, teachers. And I like to use a different font here so students can clearly see the difference between what was already there and their own text. So the first step, writing that outline, and then the second step, writing it as a complete paragraph. So this is also a good idea to include a checklist for each of these. Now, these may be too many conventions and cohesion rules for a student to begin with, so you may want to start with capitalization and punctuation, and then add on after that. A great feature with this is they can right-click on these checkboxes and add a check mark. So the final version might look something like this, and then the final paragraph. And again, those can be checked off. So how do we create this? How do we create this template? So what you want to do is you want to think about what the end result needs to be. And most of this is actually using the table function in Google Docs. So here I know I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 6 rows. So I'm going to go to Insert, Table, and I want to make sure I have those 6 rows. Now, how many columns will I need? Well, I need a space to put my question words and a space for students to write. So I'm going to go again to Insert, Table, 6 rows, 2 columns. So clearly the spacing here is a little off, so I need to move that center over. Then I'm going to type in my question words. So I have who or what, does what, when, where, why, and how. And I might want to change where this is starting. So I'm going to go here and put it along that edge. Okay, now how do I create those dotted lines? So what you're going to do is highlight all those rows, and if you click this little down arrow, it lets you select a part of the table. So I want to select that bottom for each of them. And what I'm going to do is come up here and change that to a dotted line. And that line's a little bit small, so I might want to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now it's clearly a dotted line, and then I have my final one down here. I'm going to change that. Now, how do I get rid of the rest of these lines? So what I'm going to do is select again, And I may have to do this a few times to get rid of certain lines. So I'm going to get rid of the outside line, change this to 0 point. So now that's gone. I want to get rid of those middle lines, change that to 0, and get rid of that middle line. And there we go. So one other thing you may want to do is go to Table Properties and align this to the bottom. So that way it looks like when they type, it types on the line. So you're going to do something similar for topic sentence, the details, and the concluding sentence. You're going to create a table with 2 columns, however many rows you need, and it's actually pretty simple. I hope you'll find some of these strategies useful. Again, my name is Mark McEwen. Here's my email address if you have any questions. And if you're looking for more strategies like this, you can go to strategicinquiry.com.